Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback available going into free agency. But don't tell the Miami Dolphins. The NFL free agent marketplace opens up on Monday, so I wanted to take a moment or so and let's talk about the available quarterbacks in NFL free agency. And depending on who you count as a free agent, Jimmy Garoppolo is the best available quarterback. First, before we get into it too far, let's take a look at the teams that might need a quarterback. I've gone ahead and highlighted some of the teams I think are going to be interested in a quarterback. First and foremost, the Washington Commanders. They're going to need a quarterback. Baltimore Ravens, who knows what's happening with the Lamar Jackson situation. If they get rid of him or he decides not to play, they're going to need a quarterback. Houston Texans are going to need a quarterback, but they've got the high draft choice, so they're going to be okay. Indianapolis Colts are going to need a quarterback. Tennessee Titans, yep, they're going to need a quarterback as well. Atlanta Falcons are going to need a quarterback. Carolina Panthers, with the big trade that they just made with the Bears, they're going to get their quarterback in the draft. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Tom Brady retiring, they don't have anybody other than Kyle Trask, so they're in the market for a quarterback. I didn't highlight the Miami Dolphins because nobody seems to know what the hell is going on with them. Today they released an article saying they may be going after Gardner Minshew. Seriously, I'm not making this up. You can't make this up. So let's look at each of the quarterbacks. I believe there's like 35 or 36 that might be on the market. So here's a complete list of all the quarterbacks that are free agents. You got Derek Carr, who just signed today with New Orleans Saints. Brandon Allen, and this is in alphabetical order. Brandon Allen, Kyle Allen, Tom Brady is still technically going to be a free agent unless he goes through and does retire. Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater, Jacoby Brissett, Shane Buechele, Andy Dalton, Chase Daniel, Sam Darnold, Jeff Driscoll, Joe Flacco, Blaine Gabbert, Jimmy Garoppolo, Taylor Heineke, Tyler Huntley. I could go on and on. Marcus Mariota, Baker Mayfield, and then there's Gardner Minshew as well. So I just showed you the available quarterbacks for the free agency period opening up on Monday. And it looks like the Miami Dolphins, unbelievably, are going to be going after Gardner Minshew, the stash, the mullet. That's who the Dolphins are going to be going after. I guess that's the best insurance policy they could have for Tua Tagovailoa is, hey, listen, we're bringing in somebody that will never be able to threaten you for your job. We're going to bring in somebody that guarantees you are it, bud. There's nobody behind you. We're going to bring in this utility guy, and if we bring in this guy, we may be creating a new cult, the stash cult. I can see it right now. People in the stands with mullet wigs and fake mustaches, starting another cult all over again instead of trying to actually win games. So, yeah, they're all in on Tua because they're making statements that there's going to be nobody behind him. This is from Barry Jackson today at 1:45 p.m. Barry Jackson says, here's an update on the Dolphins and the backup quarterback and what they're going to be doing. And he talks about a few other things. He says the Dolphins have locked up their starting quarterback for the next 2 years. Now they need to make sure they're protected if Tua Tagovailoa again misses time with an injury. All right, so if you want to make sure that you're protected and that the team keeps rolling, should Tua go down with an injury, wouldn't you bring in somebody like Jimmy G, who's perfect for the system? Yeah, I know Jimmy G's expensive, but you just freed up a ton of cap space. If you really were serious about winning, not just with a QB1, but a QB1A, wouldn't you bring in somebody else that was going to be able to step in, that knows the system? But I digress. Let's continue to look at this article. The Dolphins have made backup quarterback a priority the last 2 years, signing Jacoby Brissett and Teddy Bridgewater to good money early in free agency. That's a priority? Signing Teddy Two Gloves and Jacoby Brissett, that was a priority move? Yikes. Okay. Both seemed like good moves at the time, but Brissett was pretty average in his one season here, and Bridgewater last season was foiled by multiple injuries. That and talking to dead guys. Remember when he was talking to Ray Charles? The Dolphins need to find a reliable number 2 next week, and they assuredly know it. The name I keep hearing with them is Gardner Minshew, said one NFL person involved in the free agent quarterback market. So now we're going to go with a source of a source and say the Dolphins are going to be going after Gardner Minshew. Come on, man. This is $1 billion business, and you have a quarterback who hasn't been healthy full-time since 2018, and your backup plan, your insurance policy, is Gardner Minshew? Tell me this can't be happening. Tell me that the Miami Dolphins haven't staked everything on somebody like Gardner Minshew or maybe Skylar Thompson. Tell me with Tyreek and Teron Armstead and everybody else, Jalen Waddle and all these players out there who are coming in to win now, that the Dolphins aren't going to bring in somebody like Gardner Minshew as their insurance policy. Let's continue with the article. Okay. Will Minshew, question here, who has been a solid quarterback over 24 NFL starts, be the one the Dolphins pursue when free agency begins on Monday? That's unclear. Of course it's unclear, so why'd you say it? But anyway, it's out there. There are a lot of smoke screens this time of year, but at the very least, I believe he's on their radar, and he should be. Why should he be? Why aren't you going for the best available player? Nobody's going to convince me otherwise. Why do you not go after the best available player, period? When you watch the NFL draft and you'll hear Mel Kiper and Todd McShay talk, and after they get through like the first round and they start talking about what players are still on the board, they talk about the best available player. You're going to pick off the big board the best available player. You may need a guard, you may need a cornerback, you may need a safety, but when you look at the big board, especially in the second, maybe third or fourth round, you're like, who's the best player up on this board? Maybe we just need to take the best player available. If you have that strategy in the draft, and we know most teams do, why wouldn't you have that strategy in free agency? Why would you not go after the best player available? Jimmy G will most assuredly get picked up. But by who? It's not going to be by the Miami Dolphins. They're going to go for Gardner Minshew. I'm not talking about Tua. This video isn't about Tua Tagovailoa. That's already been moved off the table. But you got to have a reasonable insurance plan given his health history. So why wouldn't you go after the best player available? Read the room. Are you not talking to the guys in the locker room and saying, you know what, Tua's our guy, we're going to exercise the fifth-year option, but we're not going to really bring anybody as a backup who is formidable. Otherwise, they wouldn't be backups. Gardner Minshew, I'm sure the Tua stands and the Tua cult are going to be fine with that, because it ensures the best insurance policy possible that Tua will remain QB1. Shit, if Tua's QB1 and you got Gardner Minshew, I'd fight through as many injuries as possible, because there's not going to be anybody there to challenge me if I'm Tua. This is to me almost coaching malpractice. I know I'm going to get flamed, but it just pissed me off today with Jimmy G being the best QB on the board, who knows the system that Mike McDaniel runs. And you're telling us all as fans, we're going to go with somebody like Gardner Minshew. Sad state of affairs, man. I know you're going to flame me. Bring it. I don't care. I want to win. I want to make sure we win as many games as possible. I want to make sure that we're not settling. I don't know. I'm just not used in my life. I'm not used to settling. I'm used to going for as much gusto as I possibly can. I'm used to, basically fighting for the big prize. If I'm in real estate, I'm doing a deal. I'm not trying to settle. I'm trying to get the best deal possible. And it pains me to see people say, yeah, it's okay. He's not going to challenge Tua. He's going to be the perfect backup. He's the perfect backup because you don't want anybody to challenge Tua. He's not the perfect backup for a team that has a quarterback with a history of injury who may go down at any point, God forbid, and then you have to get behind the wheel. Whereas Jimmy G, porn star Jimmy, knows the offense. He has some, problems as well with injuries, but at least he knows the offense and is capable of taking it to the end. It's frustrating. Frustrating being a fan. It's frustrating seeing how this stuff is working out. Congratulations. Tua's got his fifth-year option. But you're telling me Gardner Minshew is someone we have to look forward to coming in just in case. That's weak. That's very weak. Tomorrow I've got Sunday by the pool. Maybe I'll talk about Gardner some more. You can't make this shit up. Talk to you soon. Fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?